Emma. Do you believe it?
Believe what?
Where there is a will, there is a way. That pause is interesting.
It is a complicated sentence for 6 words.
6 words. One of the most famous sayings in the English language. Do you believe it or not?
I believe it sometimes. And I think that is the most honest answer anyone can give.
I believe it sometimes. That is good. That is where we are starting today.
Welcome to Easily Speak English. I am Emma.
And I am Ryan. And today we are doing something we have never done before on this podcast.
We are unpacking a proverb, a famous English saying, one that almost everyone has heard, one that almost everyone has used, and one that almost nobody has really examined.
Proverb. A short, well-known saying that expresses a general truth or piece of advice. English is full of them.
And today, we are going to look at this one from every angle. Where there is a will, there is a way. What it means, when it is true, when it is not, and what it tells us about the way English speakers think about life.
We post new episodes every single day on Easily Speak English. Come back tomorrow. We are always here.
Let us begin with the sentence itself.
Where there is a will, there is a way. Break it down for me.
Okay. Will here does not mean the future tense. It does not mean I will go to the shop.
Right. Different will.
Will here means desire, determination, the force inside a person that wants something and is prepared to work for it.
The will to do something, not the future. The determination.
The determination. So the saying means if you want something badly enough and you are determined enough, you will find a way to achieve it.
The way will appear, even if you cannot see it yet.
Even if you cannot see it yet. Yes, that is the optimistic promise inside the saying.
And on the surface, it sounds motivating, inspiring. Get up, keep going. Where there is a will, there is a way.
On the surface, yes, but dig a little deeper and it gets more complicated.
Tell me how.
Because the saying implies that outcome depends entirely on the person, on their will, on their determination, and that is not always true.
Circumstances.
Circumstances. The things outside a person that shape what is possible. Not everything is within our control. Not every door opens just because someone wills it hard enough.
And telling someone where there is a will, there is a way, when the circumstances are genuinely against them, can actually be quite cruel.
It can. It can sound like, if you have not achieved this yet, it is because you did not want it enough.
Which puts all the responsibility on the person and removes the reality of the situation.
And that is where the proverb becomes complicated, because sometimes it is true, and sometimes it is used to dismiss the very real difficulties people face.
Listeners, before we go further, have you ever heard this saying at a moment when it helped you? Or a moment when it felt wrong? Write in the comments in English. We want to know. We read every single comment every single day.
Let me tell you about a moment when I believed this completely.
Go ahead.
A few years ago, I wanted to do something that everyone around me said was not realistic. I do not need to say what it was, but the people I trusted, the ones who cared about me, they genuinely did not think I could do it.
That is hard.
Doubt from people who love you is harder than doubt from strangers.
Much harder, because you cannot dismiss it as easily. They know you. They are not being cruel. They just genuinely cannot see the way.
They cannot see the way.
But I kept going. Not because I was certain, not because I had a clear path, but because I could not let go of the wanting.
The will.
The will. And eventually, not quickly, not without real difficulty, the way appeared.
The way appeared. It was not there at the start.
Not at the start. And that is what the proverb actually means, I think. Not that the way already exists, but that it comes into being as you move toward it.
Comes into being as you move toward it. That is beautiful. And also slightly terrifying.
Yes, because it means you have to start before you can see where you are going.
Start before you can see where you are going. That takes something.
It takes trust. Trust that the way will come. Not certainty. Trust.
Listeners, think about your English journey. You started before you could see exactly where it would take you. And yet, here you are, listening, understanding, growing.
Maybe where there is a will, there is a way applies to language learning more than almost anything else.
More than almost anything else. Yes.
Okay, my turn to complicate this.
Complicate away.
I have been thinking about the people who had enormous will, extraordinary determination, and still did not find the way.
Tell me.
Not famous examples, just people I know. People who worked incredibly hard towards something, who wanted it with everything they had, and who did not get there. Not because they stopped trying, but because of things outside their control.
Health, resources, timing, systems that were not set up to let them through.
Exactly. And I wonder about the damage that saying does. Where there is a will, there is a way. Because when it does not work out, and sometimes it does not, what is the message?
That you did not want it enough.
That you did not try hard enough. That the failure is yours, personal, internal.
And that is not always fair.
It is often not fair.
So what do you do with the saying then? Throw it out?
No, I think the saying is useful, powerful even, but with one addition.
What addition?
Where there is a will, there is often a way, but not always. And acknowledging the not always, that is not giving up. That is being honest about the world.
Acknowledging the not always. I like that because it protects people. It says, you are trying. You have the will. And sometimes the way is blocked by things that are not your fault.
And you are not a failure for that.
You are not a failure for that. Say that again.
You are not a failure for that. The absence of a way is not always evidence of insufficient will.
Insufficient will. Not enough determination or desire?
Right. Sometimes the circumstances are simply too powerful.
And knowing that, accepting that, is not weakness.
It is wisdom.
I want to bring something in from the language side now.
Go ahead.
Because this proverb tells us something interesting about English and about the culture that speaks it.
What does it tell us?
English proverbs are full of this kind of thinking. The individual at the center. The internal world as the cause of external outcomes. You can do it. Just do it. Where there is a will, there is a way.
Very individual. Very, it is up to you.
And in some cultures, in some languages, the proverbs are different. They are about community, about time, about fate, about things being as they are meant to be.
Very different philosophy. Very different relationship with outcomes.
And neither is completely right, neither is completely wrong. But knowing that English carries this individual will philosophy, that helps you understand why English speakers think and speak the way they do.
About effort, about success, about failure.
About all of it. Because language does not just describe culture, it shapes it.
Language shapes culture.
that is worth sitting with.
Listeners, does your language have a similar proverb? Or a very different one? Write it in the comments. Even translate it. We find this fascinating. We want to read every single one.
Every single one. Please.
Emma, let us bring this back to something practical.
Go ahead.
You are learning English. You are listening to this. You have the will. But maybe today, this week, this month, the way feels unclear. Progress feels slow. You cannot see how you get from where you are to where you want to be.
I hear that. And I think this is where the proverb is most useful.
How?
Not as a promise, but as permission.
As permission.
Permission to keep going without being certain. Permission to trust that the way will come into being as you move toward it. Permission to not have a clear path and still take the next step.
The next step.
Not the whole journey. Just the next step.
Because that is all the will needs to do. Not carry you to the destination. Just keep you moving toward it.
Keep you moving toward it. One episode at a time. One word at a time. One conversation at a time.
And slowly, not quickly, not without difficulty, the English starts to feel less like something you are learning and more like something you are living.
Living in English. Not just learning it.
Where there is a will, the English kind of living begins.
That was beautiful, Emma.
Thank you. I had time to prepare it.
Word tour. Today we unpacked a proverb, and along the way we found some really important words. Let us go slowly. Let us go deeply.
Today's words: will, proverb, circumstances, comes into being, insufficient, acknowledge, wisdom, shapes culture.
First, will. Say it slowly. Will.
Will,
As a noun, will means determination, inner strength, the force that drives you towards something. Not the future tense, the desire, the drive.
She has incredible will, meaning she is deeply determined, hard to stop, hard to discourage.
Or, I do not have the will for this today, meaning the motivation and determination are not there right now.
Willpower is related. The ability to control yourself and keep going towards something even when it is hard.
Next, proverb. Proverb.
Proverb.
A proverb is a short, well-known saying that expresses a general truth or piece of advice.
English proverbs include actions speak louder than words. Better late than never. Every cloud has a silver lining.
And today's? Where there is a will, there is a way. Short, memorable, full of cultural meaning.
Every language has proverbs. They carry the philosophy of the culture inside them.
Next, circumstances. Circumstances.
circumstances,
Circumstances means the conditions or facts that affect a situation, the things outside your control that shape what is possible.
Due to circumstances beyond my control, meaning things happened that I could not prevent or change.
Or the circumstances were not in her favor, meaning the situation around her made things harder.
Circumstances are external. Character is internal. And sometimes external circumstances are simply more powerful.
Next, comes into being. Comes into being.
Comes into being.
This means something starts to exist, begins to appear, comes from nothing into something real.
The way comes into being as you move toward it, meaning the path does not exist before you take it. It appears because you are walking.
That is a beautiful and slightly frightening thought.
Most true things are.
New ideas come into being through conversation. Solutions come into being through experimentation.
Something comes into being. It is created through the act of pursuing it.
Next, insufficient. Insufficient.
Insufficient.
Insufficient means not enough, below the required amount or level.
Insufficient evidence, insufficient funds, insufficient time.
And in the context of today, insufficient will, meaning not enough determination, not enough desire.
And the important point, insufficient will is not always the reason something did not work. Sometimes circumstances were simply too powerful.
Next, acknowledge. Acknowledge.
Acknowledge.
Acknowledge means to accept or admit that something is true, to recognize it openly.
I acknowledge that I made a mistake. Or, we need to acknowledge the difficulty of this situation.
Acknowledging something is different from accepting it helplessly. You can acknowledge a difficulty and still work against it.
Acknowledgement is honest. It is real. It is not defeat.
Next, wisdom. Wisdom.
Wisdom.
Wisdom means deep knowledge and good judgment that comes from experience, not just intelligence. Experience processed into understanding.
She spoke with wisdom, meaning what she said showed deep understanding built over time.
Wisdom is different from knowledge. Knowledge is information. Wisdom is knowing what to do with information.
And often, wisdom involves knowing what not to do, what to let go, what to accept.
Last, shapes culture. Shapes culture.
Shapes culture.
Language shapes culture means language does not just describe how people think, it influences how people think. The words available to you affect the thoughts you can have.
If your language has a word for something, a specific feeling, a concept, an idea, you can think about it more clearly than someone whose language does not.
And English proverbs like, where there is a will, there is a way, they have shaped how English speakers think about effort and success for generations.
For generations. Passed from parent to child, from teacher to student, from culture to culture.
Language carries culture. And when you learn English, you do not just learn words, you learn a way of seeing the world.
That is worth knowing.
It really is.
Ryan, one final question.
Yes.
Do you believe it? Where there is a will, there is a way.
I believe it is more true than not. I believe it is more useful than harmful when held carefully. And I believe that for most people listening right now, people who have the will to learn English in a language that is not their first, the way is coming.
The way is coming.
Maybe not quickly, maybe not clearly, but it is coming because they have the will.
And that is enough to keep going.
More than enough.
Listeners, do you believe it? Write in the comments, in English, even just yes or no. Or tell us about a moment when it was true for you, or a moment when it was not. All answers are welcome here.
Thank you for thinking with us today on Easily Speak English.
We post a new episode every single day. Come back tomorrow.
Please give this video a like if it made you think about something in a new way.
Share it with someone who needs to hear that the way is coming.
Subscribe so you never miss a daily episode.
Take care of yourselves.
And take care of your English.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.